Hello, welcome to Season 4 of How to Play D&D, the Explainer podcast with one experienced Dungeon Master and one failed scriptwriter to discuss D&D topics. My name is Kinsey and my ridiculously inadequate pod partner is Lewis McCaffery. Hello, Lewis.
Hello, Connor. How are you?
Yes, I'm good, thank you.
Season 4. We made it.
We did it. I don't know how we made it.
I don't know
Someone
either.
out there is looking out
Well,
for us.
our 2, maybe 3 listeners now.
Yes,
we have
they
3.
are funding us, they pay for our bread and butter.
As long as we get one extra listener per season, I'm happy.
Yes, that's actually all we're doing.
Yeah. Also, for some reason, when you said bread and butter, I really thought you were going to say bread and butt plugs.
Oh, well, if you can spread them, why not?
Oh, grim.
This season's a bit different because this is the DM season. First time we've done this. We usually kind of cover player and DM. But we've had a few people, one person, on our Discord server request a few DM tips for first time DMs. So this season we'll be covering every possible way we can think of, a topic a week about how to be a first-time DM, what you can get out of it.
And like you said, that's what we can think of, not everything there is, because we know if we say we'll cover everything there is, we'll have one little fucker in the comments saying, oh, you missed this out, and we will have to kill you.
And it'll be me on a separate account.
Yeah, probably.
But if you do have recommendations, please post them on wherever you're listening to this, or even on our social media if you follow that.
Yeah, or just come and let us know.
Knock on the door, 11 Lencox Walk.
Okay then.
But feel free to just knock on our door if you can get through the security gate.
Yeah.
The security's to keep us in, not to keep people out.
Literally, it's to protect Manchester.
So, can you guess what our first episode is about this season?
How not to
give our identity away.
How not to speak to us.
I mean, what? You can't even fucking speak now. Right, well, you're close. First time Dungeon Masters in D&D. Let's get to it. Okay, so today's episode is on First Time Dungeon Masters. I bet because of the title, your internet kink of watching or listening to any topic that involved belittling a group of sex pests was seriously throbbing. But no, we don't do that here. Do we, Lewis?
No, we are the sex pests.
There we go.
Let's be honest.
We actually throb harder when we are being supportive towards our first time DMs.
We do.
Today's episode is actually a listener's request, and that means you have to stick to being nice. Those were her words.
Grim.
There we go.
That's not in our nature.
What can you do? Lewis, I've fallen from a great height, broken both of my legs, and found myself surrounded by wolves with only a pack of carrots and a delicious hummus meal to use as a weapon. What am I doing?
A hummus meal? Well, first of all, what else is in this hummus meal? Or is it just
enough
hummus to be a meal?
It's enough hummus to fend off a pack of wolves. That's what I was getting at.
How many's in a pack? Details.
So it's a large... It's 100 mil. 400 mil of hummus. Delicious hummus.
Are these actual wolves? Or is it just a bunch of furries with butt plugs in running at you?
I didn't say where the carrots were.
Oh, great. So,
stocking them.
Yeah, what you're doing is you're distracting, rolling an animal handling check as the DM, you're distracting the wolves with the delicious hummus meal.
Yes.
And you're ramming that carrot so far up the wolf's arse that they will never approach you again.
They'll unfurry.
They will unfurry. Unfurry the furry.
Right, well, with that, what do you need to bring to the table as a DM?
Carrots, and a lot of them. No,
I would actually like that if a DM brought carrots to them. If a DM turned up with some snacks.
Yeah, snacks.
Carrots. Carrots and hummus, great meal.
Is snacks a DM's job though? I'd say snacks are players' jobs.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And you're right.
Exactly. And you keep
to be there.
Yeah. To have the carrot up your ass, you need to earn that. But no, as a first-time DM, the only things I think you need to worry about bringing is one, like some kind of notepad, some kind of blank, or even paper for you to write little bits on, whether it's initiative order or health that your enemies or your NPCs have taken or damage,
enemies,
that kind of thing. Yeah,
enemies, NPCs.
Exactly. A set of dice for yourself. Obviously a pen or pencil, and just some kind of general notes of what you're going to run. If it's an official one shot and you've got that with you, perfect. If it's something you've created, just like the steps where you want it to go, just in case halfway through the session you start to forget or wonder what's next. You can quick glance, look at it, and know where to go forward.
Yeah, even if you have memorized, if you're really good at memorizing things, I think. So you go, I'm confident with that. I don't need to bring that. I would recommend bringing it, because if it's your first time DMing, you'll be surprised how quick a player brings something up that you weren't planning for, and you go, oh, I better report back to my original script here.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I'm good at remembering things like that, so I could probably memorize like one-shots or a small campaign, things like that. But having the notes there just for those situations, and just in case you're thinking, right, where should I go with it next? It's perfect to have those notes with you.
Yeah.
Because even now, like I said, I've been playing 10 years and I forget things.
I've put in here as a bonus a knowledgeable player.
Yes.
I've been DMing for like 2.5 years out of the 3 years.
Yep.
And you're in nearly every one of my sessions, or all of my sessions. And, whenever I'm like, I don't know how that works out, because I don't know everything, and I don't know every character class and spell. So it's good to have someone there, especially your first time, who you can look up at and they go, try this. And that's the same for players as well. It's great if players can offer that.
Exactly, yeah. We've said this before on previous episodes, but no one can be expected to know everything. And as long as you've got players that are happy to lend a hand, and they're not going to try and railroad you just because you're changing something or you're unsure on a rule, and if they're there just to support you in things you don't know, there's nothing wrong with that. That's perfect to have.
I would definitely recommend telling people it's your first time DMing.
Yeah.
Because they should be there to support. Arguably, they're probably playing because it's their first time as well, or because they actually just want you to get the practice in. So you can't be wrong.
No, exactly. And I think anyone who, especially what we've encountered, because obviously we DM more than we play, so it's always good when a player that hasn't DM'd wants to at least run something. Yeah. And anyone who has DM'd knows how stressful it can be, how much work it is, and how much you have to know. So anyone that DMs is likely not going to pressure you too much. They're literally just there to support and to make sure that you're enjoying it as well, because the DM has to enjoy it.
I couldn't imagine why they would turn up just to make it difficult, to be honest.
I mean, there are people like that.
Yeah.
Just to prove that their DMing is better, or that they know more.
Yeah. I'm a difficult, grumpy person, but if I'm gutted by a session, it's because something was really good and that one thing has kind of let it down, and I'm disappointed in what's gone on, not like I was there to be upset from the get-go, Do you need to know the rules? And by that, I don't mean all the rules, because that's impossible. What I mean by that is, should you turn up with at least a basic understanding?
Yes, a basic understanding. Like you said, you don't need to know all the rules. It's just good to know certain bits. Obviously, one thing we didn't mention, the things that you need, the DM screens, perfect to have, but not needed. But that often has quick references like conditions, DC checks, what you should... what the DC actual difficulty should be on any check, that kind of thing. It's good to know them, just so you're not constantly looking at rules, but at the same time, you don't necessarily need to know them. It's just, if you don't know any of the rules and you just have a basic general understanding of how D&D works, let your players know that before, because if you've got a group of serious players that are there even just to have fun, and you don't tell them that you know none of the rules, you're making it up, and then when they get to a check and you say something that they're not used to, it'll just throw them off, even if they're happy to do it. Like, if I was in a game like that, I wouldn't complain or kick up a fuss, but it would probably instantly drag me out of the immersion, the role play. Just like, wait.
I think also what we have to remember is, every character has a set of stats, and so they want. It doesn't mean you make those stats work for them, but they're going to be looking to use what they're good at some point, and probably not what they're bad at, because why would you? So
no, exactly.
It's good when there is a variety of options, rather than you don't know anything, so you kind of stick to one thing out of safety, and comfort. So it's good to have an idea, or at least the concept of how to wing it, but within the realms of D&D ruling.
Exactly, yeah. It's like we've mentioned so many times about like the rule of cool kind of thing, how we will almost always, if something makes sense logically in the world or in this situation, but it's against the rules or it's just something you've made up, we'll always go for it, because like
It's
we've
cool.
said,
It's
we've
cool.
said before, like the rules for D&D are moral guidelines, so you don't need to know them all, but it's good to have basic understanding.
Cool. All right. Pre-written session or homebrew as a first-time DM? I'm a pre-written. No, sorry, I'm a homebrew guy. Guy.
I'd say not neither, but both kind of thing. It depends very much on what you're comfortable with, what your skills are in terms of DMing, which granted you'll be learning that as your first time. But if you know that you're someone who is very good at improvising, you're good at just making things up on the spot, you're good at going with whatever your players want, there's nothing wrong with starting with a homebrew one that you've created or found online.
Yeah.
But if you're someone who needs a set structure, is not the best at improvising, or at least that's what you want to practice with, but you're good at the other things when it's knowing what to do, when to do it, that kind of stuff, I'd go with an official one, because then at least you don't need to worry about things going off course. You can add hints to help
got something to fall back on.
Exactly, it will follow some kind of structure.
Okay, in terms of events or encounters, how busy should a session be?
I think not necessarily busy, but I think they should have enough in them where there's not loads of opportunities to just talk amongst yourself, if that makes sense. Obviously, you want some of them, but you don't want it to be 2.5 hours of your players just sat in a wagon or sat at a camp talking, and then, there's a boss that's attacked you, that's the session. Like that just end up being a bit lackluster, a bit boring.
Yeah, there's got to be things going on, and I think like if it's your first time, you should definitely be like dipping your toe in and looking to have a bit of roleplay happen, have a bit of NPC conversation, because you're constantly working those muscles you've not used before as a DM, and also you've got to have a bit of combat, because it's quite likely, you know, a lot of people like combat more than anything in D&D, and you've also got to learn to be good at it and show pace, you know.
Exactly,
Can't be a slog, so
exactly.
Try and get all of those bits in, a small amount of each of them.
That's the thing as well, whilst on one hand you don't want it to be that quiet where there's nothing and then a big fight, you don't want it to be one fight after the other. I'd say 2-3 max kind of thing.
Cool.
Maybe, especially if they're smaller ones, like one enemy that they just got to beat their way through, fair enough. But if you're having like a mini boss fight every half an hour,
and you know,
it's too much.
Moments where there's just a whole session of roleplay or a whole session of combat, that's quite likely to come in those moments of a campaign where it's planned for. People know it's coming up. You know, they're raiding a castle, or it makes sense, or there is literally solving a murder that they already witnessed in the previous. You know, that makes sense. But in a one shot, you kind of need something to start and be bookended in that one session. You could be first time DMing a campaign, but once again, you still want that first session to feel like it's a breath of fresh air, and it's got to feel like it can end and like tease people to come back. Yeah.
At the same time as well, whether it is a one shot or a campaign, you need to give your players a chance. I'd say always start it with calm. Always start it giving your players a chance to get into it. Like we said, if it's a group of new players, we had this with the Fandelver campaign I ran for you guys, where everyone was new, and there's always going to be that initial awkwardness of, do I go first? Do I say something now? So let your players find that themselves. Obviously, you can help them along by throwing NPCs at them, but let them figure out what that is for them before throwing combat at them.
So, very briefly, 3 quick tips about how sessions should feel.
How it should feel, I think the best way is, if you're doing a one-shot and you want a structure to follow, like I said, start it off with some calm, where it's just the players coming into their characters, figuring out their roleplay style, talking to each other, introducing themselves. The middle bit should usually, I think, for a one-shot be the kind of investigations, the figuring out information, the what are we actually doing here, that kind of stuff, and figuring out the goal. And then you can drip feed that information to them. So that's like, there's the calm, there's a bit of mystery, and then the third bit, the final, should always be either some kind of climax or plot twist, where it's either a big puzzle or you've found the boss that has been terrorizing a village, so you've got to defeat them. And then there's like a minor 3.2 3B, a kind of reward. You need, after that end bit, you need a reward to end the session, so that the players actually feel like they've achieved something.
Nice, yeah.
What do you say? What your thing?
No, I think that works. That's quite nice. Yeah, let people, at the beginning of it, imagine it's like a 3-act structure. First act, Let them dip their toes, learn the characters. It's probably their
dip
first...
their carrots in.
Yeah, dip their carrots in the hummus. Let them... Yeah, they've got to learn their characters, so a bit of role play with each other or some characters that are going to give them a quest. Get into the second part of that, whether that's combat or, like you said, a puzzle or solving the murder or whatever it is, looking for the person they're after. Really, it's about egging them on to want to get to the end.
Yeah, definitely.
That's the end goal, I suppose, in summary, is making them want to see how the outcome works, see what the outcome is. And then the end is, them solving that, whether that's defeating something or finding the person and then receiving the reward in some kind.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's good.
I think that's good
It's
structure
really,
to follow.
3 quick tips is structure, pace, think about it. Read it through. Is it too slow? Even if it's a pre-written manual, that doesn't mean they're great or right. And yeah, third one really is make sure it's just fun.
Yeah, give your players the chance to...
Yeah, unless you're... I mean, in our campaign, it is a sweat fest. It's meant to be a sweat fest. It's meant to be difficult. So...
it's awful.
The grind is actually why the players are there most of the time, to be honest. But that's different. Not as your first time DMing. Don't put that on yourself to have to elevate it to that point, It's got to be fun. You want to come back to it and your players.
Yeah, and you've got to enjoy it as a DM as well.
Yeah.
It can't just be fun for the players.
No,
because then you won't continue.
Cool. All right then. Well, today's adventure has sadly come to a close. We're back again next week with the topic: why are sandbags popular, but bags of sand forgotten about?
I don't know, actually.
You can buy sandbags.
Well,
I can't remember the last time I saw a bag of sand.
You've spoilt your Christmas present.
Shit. And as always, thank you for tuning in. And if you'd like to join in the D&D action, then please follow us on Instagram and TikTok at How to Play D&D, or check out the link in our bio to join our Discord server. And for BTS sessions, bloopers, blogs, early access to episodes, and even live Q&As, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/howtoplaydd. I am getting faster.
You are.
I've been Connor Kinsey.
It scares me. I've been Lewis McCaffery.
Good day.
Goodbye.